unless you're a police officer or CIT.
Michael, where's your phone?
Up there. Mike's on or off?
Okay, you ready?
Welcome to tonight's program of Faith and Blue. Over to you, Rabbi.
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I'm sitting here with a couple of the officers from Pueblo's Police Department. We have the good captain here, and we have the corporal here, and both of them, in my personal opinion, are good guys. Okay?
Thank you.
But we'd like
Appreciate
to. Oh, you
Appreciate that, yeah, thank
I'm
you.
only telling the truth, brother.
I know.
And of course, we have Rabbi Rittenhouse with us tonight. You'll be seeing more of him over the next few weeks. But tonight's program, its purpose is to help you know a little bit more about our police department here and about the things they do and maybe some of the things hidden behind the scenes, but not bad stuff. Anyway, I want to go ahead and ask Captain, since you outrank him, okay, how long have you been with the department?
I've been with the department for 16 years, sir. Essentially, I started back in the military as a MP. I spent 5 years as a military police officer. And after leaving the military, I went to college, graduated from college, and then I got hired at El Paso County Sheriff's Office, where I worked there for 2 years. And then I was hired here at the Pueblo Police Department.
Okay. What college did you go to?
CSUP here in Pueblo.
Excellent, excellent. And you've been in patrol, or what other departments you work in?
So in the Pueblo Police Department, I've worked, I started in patrol. I was a patrol training officer for a couple of years, and I transferred over to crimes against persons, where we investigated the more difficult crimes such as robberies, sexual assaults, homicides. And then after that, I went back patrol for a very brief period of time before I was promoted to sergeant. During that whole time, I did miss that I was part of the special the SWAT team, Special Weapons and Tactics team. And when I left detective, I was promoted to sergeant. And that's, I went back to patrol. And during that time, I was rejoined the SWAT team as a team lead. And just about a couple months ago, I was promoted to captain. And I'm still back in patrol.
But now as captain, you can't be SWAT anymore. Is that correct?
That is correct. Each time that we leave, we get promoted. We get separated from the team because the positions that we currently hold, for example, right now as a captain, there is a SWAT commander, and he's actually managing that as his position.
Okay. Now, let's turn to our good corporal here. Tell them who you are, sir.
I'm Corporal Patrick Cancino. I've been with the department almost 10 years now. My whole time with the department, I've primarily been on patrol. I did work graveyard shift for a number of those years. I went to day shift, but recently I switched back to our graveyard shifts. Prior to that, I worked at the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office for about 5 years. One of those years was on patrol. 4 of those years were in the jail. When I was at the County Sheriff's Office, I was part of their tactical team within the jail. Currently at the police department, I'm on the honor guard team, and I was on the bike patrol team for quite some time, but I recently left the bike team.
You say bike team, you mean pedaling?
Pedaling bicycle patrol,
Oh,
yes.
oh. That's why
Yes.
God made Harleys.
Yes. Learned that lesson the hard way after bicycling around Pueblo.
Well, let me ask. When you say patrol, does that mean you're out there writing traffic tickets?
We do some traffic. I primarily respond to calls for service, so we get calls that come in that require police response. I will go and assist on those calls.
So is there an entirely different group that does traffic for the most part?
We do have a traffic unit, and their primary job is to do traffic within the department. Now, as a patrol officer, in between calls, I can do traffic stops, I can initiate traffic stops, and we do investigate some traffic accidents also.
Now, gentlemen, I know that you have a traffic group,
Mhm.
you have a patrol group, and what are the SRO things? Who are they? What do they do?
They are school resource officers. So essentially, they're assigned to a school up in the District 60 area, and they're responsible for the security of the school, investigating any kind of crimes that happen within the students or staff. And if there's anything that happens outside the school grounds, of course, they also are eligible to respond to those incidents.
Okay, and then you got detectives,
Yes, we do.
okay. Then you have like the chief and others. And is your job predominantly administrative? Like, are you an administrative person?
I am an administrative person. I'm kind of unique right now.
Of course, you're unique. You're always going to be unique.
I'm kind of in a unique position. I just recently got promoted to sergeant, where I'm usually been out in the streets quite a bit. Now I have a much more administrative role, so I'm trying to learn my position as administrator. But I think, I'm trying to evolve it to where I can be out in the street more.
And as a corporal, you must have other extended responsibilities.
You know, if we get to a crime scene and there's some leadership that somebody needs to take control of the leadership, generally I'll make sure that everybody has a job and everybody's doing something that needs to be done for the investigation.
And so as a corporal, you have multiple hats that you wear.
Correct.
And what's the other those hats are?
I'm sorry,
What different type of duties you have besides just being a patrol officer? You're also the person who's going to step up and lead at a scene or something?
yeah, so it depends on the call that we're on, and sometimes some of these calls require, you know, a certain amount of leadership. Corporal is just an officer that's been with the department for quite some time, has a little more experience under his or her belt, and when we get to those scenes, I'll have I have a little bit more of an understanding of what needs to be done, and my responsibility would to be sure everything, you know, we have somebody at every corner. If we need somebody at every corner, we have somebody working on interviews, somebody trying to get video footage, whatever needs to be done. I want to make sure that that's all being accomplished.
Another situation that having an advantage like Corporal Cantino here is the fact that if a sergeant is not available or doesn't come in for a shift, then he's able to step up as that step-up sergeant, where he can assist and manage the crew.
So he's a corporal, but sometimes a sergeant.
Yes.
Okay. And you're a captain, sometimes a major?
Well, we have deputy chiefs,
Oh, okay.
so there is a possibility of that occurring, yes.
Okay. So what do you like about the job?
I love my job. I love my career that I've chosen. I've always wanted to be a police officer since I was a little kid. My preferred position right now, or has been, is the SWAT aspect of it. Be able to go to a situation where it's dangerous, but you're around a group of individuals that are there, and to be with you and manage the circumstances on an array of problems that could develop that you don't know what you're going to get into is one of the most beneficial positions that I've held.
I could imagine the camaraderie between those officers is pretty amazing
It
to
is.
experience and to share with others.
It is. It is. It's unique. It's unique within the team and the department.
Do you find it hard for outsiders to understand the role of a police officer?
Yes, it can be very difficult. Sometimes we, as police officers, can experience that with our own families. You know, we all have family at home that may not quite understand what our day consisted of or what we did, and that's what builds our
Camaraderie.
camaraderie with each other. Yes, so that you know builds our brotherhood and sisterhood, and it's a strong bond that we do have.
So you almost have two families. You have wife and children?
Yes,
How many children?
five children. Yeah,
She must like you.
she must. Yeah,
Okay. But then you have another family in the department.
correct.
Rabbi Rithouse, any questions yet?
Well, some of the questions have already been asked. But I guess one of the questions that comes to mind for me is how can the community around Pueblo, how can the community support you? How can the community support our men in blue?
That's one of the, I think what's so great about Pueblo right now is that we are supported by our community quite a bit compared to other agencies around the country. They provide us food, they provide us some snacks throughout the day, especially on circumstances that are not favorable in regards to an officer getting injured. They're always thinking about us and bringing some stuff. Another way is I think when can you elaborate a little bit more?
So I think one thing that I do see a lot, and is very supportive of us, is a lot of citizens will stop me and just say thank you. We appreciate what you do. And I think that little act, when we're having a tough day, we're going through a lot of calls, we're going from traffic accidents to domestic fights to trespasses and all these calls that we're going to. It's tough and we get tired. And I often get stopped by citizens. I'm driving and they'll wave me down, roll down my window and they'll say, I just want to say thank you, I appreciate it. And I think that little gesture is a huge support for us. And it shows a lot, it really does.
What type of hours are you working a week now?
So I'm scheduled 40 hours a week. I come in at 5 p.m., leave at 3 a.m. How many hours I'm actually working is another story. Sometimes we get the overtime because you get behind on reports and you have to take some time to catch up on reports, tag your evidence. Sometimes big calls come in that require a lot of work, so we are out doing the work, toward the end of our shift and we have to stay over. And the overtime is there, if we need some overtime or it's there, it's available to us.
How many officers do we have in Pueblo?
I think the number right now is 176. No, 176.
I'm not too sure on the exact
I think
number,
that's
but yeah, that's right
I think
around
that's
where-
an approximate number right now where we're at.
How many more would you like?
I think we're allowed it. I think we're maybe about 50 short right now. So 50 more bodies would be amazing.
So a person with intelligence
Yes.
and a pulse, okay, that can pass a drug screen,
Yes.
should they apply?
Yes. They should. We have Officer Roman, actually Corporal Roman, who is our recruiter. He's constantly out in the community trying to recruit officers. He's actually even goes out to outside of the state of Colorado and attends these job fairs to help us with that. But as if you can see, and even throughout the media, you can see that personnel issues, it's just not unique to law enforcement or to Pueblo. It's just across the road right now.
I sat down and talked with him 2 weeks ago, and I felt like I was being interviewed. But we have a lot in common. I mean, same type of background, same places and such. Okay? But now, besides officers, you have a large number of volunteers,
We do.
okay, that you guys work with.
We do, that is correct, yes.
Okay? And what do your volunteers do? And how does a person volunteer?
So it's an application process to get into the police department to be a volunteer. When they do come in, they, of course, during that application, they fill out what qualifies, what jobs they've done in the past. Just an example, for part of the SWAT team, we had an individual that was a welder, and we needed some things welded for us. And he got accepted, and he was able to do a lot of work for us. That saved the department thousands of dollars in that sense. If you have any unique qualifications that could be in the realm of the department, I'm pretty sure they'll find something for you guys to help us out with.
One of the programs I do every year is our holiday basket program, and we have volunteers, several volunteers that reach out to help with that, and they do something, just as simple as helping put the baskets together, loading them up in the trucks, helping us deliver them. So yeah, the volunteers are a huge asset to the department.
So let me repeat what I just heard you tell me, that there's actually a program in the PD, the department, where you use volunteers to deliver baskets that have been put together by volunteers through the officers. Apparently, you guys collect the names of something,
Correct.
okay? And so there's always a place for a volunteer, even if it's just creating food baskets.
That is correct, yes.
What are the type of programs you have where you can use volunteers like that?
Well, we have a lot of events that we do. A couple of them that are coming up are the Toy Bowl, the ice hockey game. You know, those require some volunteer help at the actual events, as far as concessions, ticket collecting, preparation for it.
So you're telling me that there's a hockey team. And do you play in-house or do you play like the fire department? Who do you play against?
It is some police officers that play against the fire department. Play against the firemen. I'm not one that plays. I don't know anything about hockey, but it's a great program.
So can you tell us a little bit about the Toy Bowl and what that is?
The Toy Bowl's been around for, many years. Since I was a kid, I can remember going to the Toy Bowl. It's basically a game of flag football. It's police officers, a lot of DOC officers also get involved, and they play flag football against a group of local bikers. And it's a fun game. It's a great time. I've played on the Toy Ball a couple years.
Do the bikers ever win?
The bikers win sometimes, yeah. The bikers win sometimes, but to get into that is a donation of a toy, and those toys are delivered during the holidays to children in need.
So where do they play the toy bowl at?
In the recent years, it's been at Dutch Clark and CSU Pueblo. I'm not sure what it's going to be at this year, but it's generally one of those two locations.
And then in the past, you've had a toy run for the bikers also.
Yes, we have.
Okay, and the bikers bring toys and they run the gamut.
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
That's great.
I've got a fun question.
Sure.
Being police officers, do you guys ever watch police shows, movies? Being in the real world compared to the movies, how does it compare?
I think it doesn't compare, but
Okay.
it's fun. It's fun to watch. I do watch a lot of those videos. Some of the events, such as the series where you have, I can't think of a show off the top of my head, but
NCIS.
CIS is like they have a crime and they solve it by the end of the hour, and they have all these technology and cool tools that they have when in reality we don't have those tools. Some of those homicides take months, even years to solve.
Gotcha.
But it's fun to see, and the storylines. Of course, you have I enjoy more of the comedy movies
Okay.
that follow along with law enforcement, just because it's easier and it's a little bit more easier on the heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to love watching the First 48. That was one of my favorite shows. And it was a pretty good show, and I think it got me thinking about applying for a police officer. And when I actually became a police officer, I don't watch them as much anymore because I'm at work, doing similar work. I don't want to go home. I want to go home and kind of disconnect and watch
Right.
maybe some comedies or something different to disconnect from work or separate my personal time from my work time.
Correct.
So it's just not real, is it?
It's not as realistic, like I said. No, it's
Now, my wife, she likes to listen to various internet preachers and teachers and such. And no offense, I don't want to hear it so much. This is what I do for a living. Okay, I want to watch something stupid like science fiction.
yes.
But you have a special group within the department. Okay, that special group is called the Chaplains Program.
Very special group, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why would I bring them up?
They offer quite a bit of support to families. They actually offer quite a bit of support to police officers. And I think you're bringing them up also because you are one of our chaplains.
Yes,
So you're part of that program.
yes, we have a number of chaplains, including a couple of lady chaplains, and one of those lady chaplains was a chicken, and she wouldn't sit on the side of the table with us. But that's okay.
But it's just to expand on how important to have the chaplain's services at the PD. There's been several calls for service where we've been where having the chaplain there to support us, to bring some type of peace of mind to the individual during that crisis. Know that when we meet the individuals out there in the street, we're meeting on their worst day of probably their lives, especially on the catastrophic events where a person loses a loved one. or has experienced some really traumatizing situations, that they could ease the person's heart, even for just a brief moment, to help them out.
Now, you have other resources that are available to you in the field. Would you care to comment on those other resources?
We do have ACOVA, who's a huge resource to us. They specialize in helping victims work through the traumatic event that they recently went through. They offer a lot of programs and resources that are available to them and can help get them in contact with the proper resource they need to, whether it's going to be a chaplain, whether it's going to be financial services, whether it's going to be emotional services, maybe a therapist or something.
We also have Health Solutions, and then Crossroads. All of them are based on some of, to assist us with drug addiction, with individuals that are dealing with that, and to give them some type of program to get them involved and to help them along the way with recovery.
Okay, so let me just repeat some of what I'm hearing so they can hear it again. Okay, you have COVA,
Yes.
okay, who you work with, and the assistant, a multitude of areas. Everything from possibly housing to a little financial aid here or there, some personal, emotional support
Yes, sir.
issues. And then you have your people, and this I found amazing about Pueblo, is we actually have people who are certified therapeutic technicians,
Yes.
okay, who actually are available. Is that on every shift?
Not every shift. So we have there are CIT clinicians that we have. They're specifically to help us out with individuals that have some type of mental distress at the time. That they have training and a background and how to deal with individuals with that. We have some resources here in Pueblo, but having them with us and be available to us in such an immediate fashion, it's been very productive, and it's been very supportive for the community to have that in the background.
Well, I've met several of them, and you know what? They're very intelligent people,
Yes.
okay, and compassionate. So I support the idea and the program.
And even if they're not with us on shift working, we can put them in contact with Health Solutions. So we do have options that we can take them places to get the help that they need.
Okay. Health Solutions, as an institution, industry, what is it?
It's a company that we're partnered with for the mental health services. So if we're getting to a call and it's not a criminal issue or something that we specialize in, we can put them in contact with the mental health support that they need right then and there.
So the department has mental health resources, chaplain resources, and through COVID, other resources that may require some finances or counseling and guidance. Is it like that with all police departments, or are we just special here?
I think departments are
We're special here.
Short answer, yes.
Yes. Sorry. Well, sorry. Yes, we are special here, but I think across the nation is something that we're all striving to be, is trying to bring those different types of services to our community, because it's needed. A law enforcement police officer could be a social worker. It could be an individual that has to enforce the laws. It could be a parent. It could be a son because the mother is grieving. It could be a grandson, a granddaughter, to speak to that grandmother who's missing their grandchild, and just they need someone to talk to. So we have an array of hats that we have to put on. It depends on the call, but having those individuals has been great.
I think recently we've even had a partnership with SOS, and
And that stands for
I'm not sure.
Save Our Souls. Is what it used to
Save
be.
Our Souls, yeah, I think that's
That's my job.
they're similar to Health Solutions, and they can respond to calls and help out with some of the calls that actually don't need a police officer to respond to. And we have community resource officers also. And if it's a basic report, they are been very helpful to us, and they can respond and take some of those reports for us.
Okay. I want to keep recapping. We have SROs, which are SROs.
School resource officers.
Right. And we have, as a resource, in each of the schools, or most of the schools. And then, of course, we have our CITs, which are intervention people who work with some issues, people with issues. We have our chaplains who work with the spiritual aspect and even some of the social aspect what needs to be done. I noticed that for the chaplains, sometimes our biggest job is to help the family, which at the same time frees up the officers to do their job.
Yes.
Okay? And then in the system, there's also those people who volunteer in other areas. You might be a welder, or you might be willing to pass out. I'm not a biggie on Halloween. I know you guys are doing a trunk or treat, a treat for trunk.
A trunk or treat, sir. Yes.
Trunk or treat is what?
A trunk or treat is where we have, officers are volunteering to bring candy and setting up their cars. They get to dress up whatever Halloween costume they want to dress up in. And,
The officer does?
The officer does. And then community members, family members of the officer, and then kids come to the police department where we give them some candy. So that's another program.
I've got a question, maybe shift gears a little bit. You guys are in the business of helping the community, right? And a lot of people don't understand or see that help so obvious to them, right? You guys see it every day. What is something you guys are doing as far as with the drugs? Now, every city has drugs, a drug problem, right? But what about Pueblo?
That's a tough one, but again, we have partnered up with Health Solutions and Crossroads, where they have programs to help the individuals get into some type of a program. Along the lines, of course, there's some consequences if the individual is caught with some drugs, but there is also a way for them to get that sentence reduced if they decide to join these programs and complete the programs. So that's something the district attorney works out with the individual. So other than that, I mean, of course, we have, what am I missing, Ken?
So you was mentioning earlier the different units within the department. We do have a narcotics unit. They will handle some cases involving narcotics also. And I think as an officer that's working patrol, we get called to a narcotics violation. We investigate the violation within the scope of our authority, if that makes sense. So we do what we can for those investigations. A lot of time we'll end up with taking some narcotics and tagging those in evidence. More recently, it's more of referring charges on the individuals for their crime.
But the important part is you guys do your part, what you guys can, and then
Yes,
we'll wait and see.
yes, absolutely.
We hear a lot about the fentanyl crisis in the United States. Are we seeing that here in Pueblo as well?
Yeah, fentanyl is a pretty dangerous drug. We do have it here in Pueblo, and it is a problem. How big compared to other cities across the nation, I really can't tell you that, but I can tell you that we do have an issue. Like I said, we have programs to help the individuals out, and of course, it's getting to be a little bit more challenging because the drug changes so much. Right now, we've just ran across the fentanyl, where it used to be just a pill, now it's a powder, and it's just it's ever changing. Yeah.
Among teenagers in Pueblo, do we have a bigger issue with alcohol or with illegal drugs? In your opinion, it's just your opinion.
That's that's a tough question to answer. That's something maybe an SRO would have more insight on. I see a lot of the vapes with the young kids from what I've come across. They really like the vapes, and that's kind of the biggest issue that I've came across with them.
And I think alcohol has always been a problem. I'm thinking ever since I'm 46, and it was a problem when I was a kid. It's the most easiest accessible thing to get. I mean, you can take it from your parents' refrigerator. It's that easy. So it is a common problem, but I don't see the overdoses that people would say that we have a huge problem with narcotics in regards to drugs, the kids.
Now, when I was a kid, I was the problem. And I often wore the bracelets. No, Reb Jimmy, any questions on your side?
We were talking about various support groups. What kind of support groups are available for the families of our police officers? I can't imagine the stress that your families must endure, worried every day as you're out on the front lines. Are there resources available for families?
Yes, there's resources for the families. We have, of course, we have our own, I guess, close-knit groups, of course, of officers that get together and officer wives that get together. I mean, I think that's one of the core founding groups. But we also have peer support where a lot of our family members actually join and help us out with that. In regards to situations specifically, there's resources available in the event that the family member needs that the PD would offer and with support.
Our peers have been our biggest supports. We help each other out quite a bit, and like he mentioned, seems like police wives like to get together and support each other through a lot of the events that we go through.
Of course, that's a very unique, select group of people, the officers' wives, and their family. So it'd be hard for an outsider to comprehend those type of needs, where they take care of each other. And that's one of the awesome things that I've noticed about Pueblo and the police department. I've been a chaplain almost 4 years now. And, the officers are really quite tight-knit. And it takes a while just to break in a little bit. But I do know the camaraderie is there. They call each other names, they chuckle. Okay? They may be serious, but they chuckle. And I've noted that they will absolutely cover one another, take care of one another. And that's uniqueness about, not to borrow the name from a movie, but a band of brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? It's that uniqueness. How can the general public help the officers?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, just the gratuity that they have for us, the taking the time to say thank you, we appreciate you. That goes quite a way. I'm not sure what other issue.
Yeah, I mean, waving, saying hello, having a conversation. Like he said, when people bring in snacks, bringing food, that's always appreciated. We're always in the run. So coming in and out, we see some snacks or something that we could just pick up and take with us. That's always great. But the majority is just waving and saying hello and saying thank you for your service. I mean, that means a lot.
I think recently we do get quite a bit of calls, for service that we have to handle. We have P2C reporting, which is basically where, if you have a crime that was committed, you could go online, put in the information. It's the same information that we would take, and it generates a police report, basically the same thing that we would do. So, I mean, that is a really huge help for us if it's like a theft. A lot of businesses are using the P2C reporting now because, if I get to some of the stores, if I get to one theft, I'll be there my whole shift just taking reports on that. So they could get online, they could put in the information, and that actually saves us a large amount of time.
Now, I happen to be a religious Jew, okay? And when I talk about support, sometimes there's some support that's needed. Are you getting my drift? How can we help supply resources either for an injured officer or even through the chaplains program, so we have money for bus tickets and such? And that's what the chaplains do. They take care of sometimes a housing need or food need or a bus ticket or something. Okay. Are there other areas in which the general public can be generous with.
That's
It's not your job to do the begging. I can do that.
yeah.
Just got to know where to send the check.
Yeah. So we're always needing any resources that do come in, and any donations that would come in. Be beneficial features be such as food, snacks, any other types such as equipment. I don't think it would be a good area right now. I'm not sure if I could answer that specifically.
Okay, but I think there's a question here we might be able to answer. And your question is?
Can you please talk about support staff and dispatch?
Oh, dispatch. The hidden gem.
Yes. Dispatchers are amazing. They're like, their superpower is multitasking. If you've ever been to a dispatch console, they have 4 screens, they have a radio, they have a telephone, and that telephone has like several lines that they have to deal with, and then 4 channels they have to monitor. And then along with that, they take the calls. The ability that the dispatchers have to manage not only the person that's across the line with the emotion of their bad day, and the ability to do that is really amazing on how they can do that. Not only once, but they do that on a regular basis, about 400 to 500 calls a day.
Now, dispatch, I know that's your 911,
Yes,
and they also have fire
yes.
and
Non-emergency?
Non-emergent, yes.
non-emergency. Is it just 3 areas?
I'm not sure, do they dispatch, yeah, I think that's the 3 main ones that they dispatch here.
Oh, AMR?
AMR, yeah.
Okay. So it's the hub of everything going on.
Yeah, they're dealing with quite a bit.
I know some of the dispatchers, when they get, I'm going to say it's a hot call, they stay on the line. And they have to walk through it emotionally themselves.
Yes.
And they are just truly amazing. You want to do something nice? Send dispatch a cheesecake.
Yes.
However, it should be chocolate, as I've been forewarned. Okay. But you have dispatch, which is truly a unique group of people. And their shifts are how many hours?
Right now, they're also super short. They are 50% below manpower. And I think their shifts are anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day.
Whoa. How does one consider going and want to work in dispatch? Aren't they certified or go through some schooling?
They they have to go through a civil service application process. I think also it's just a high school diploma or GED, and then they have to take a few tests to be able to manage through regarding to the computer programming system. And then after that, they go through the hiring process through interviews. And then from there, it's about a 6 to 9 month training program.
So if you can't juggle, I mean that figuratively, okay, you're probably not suitable for dispatch.
Not even just juggling. You have to juggle, answer the phone call, and record the information.
Didn't you work in dispatch at one point? somewhere?
That was military side. It's totally different.
So I've asked you what you like most about the job. Now, a few moments worth of honesty, what's the most difficult part?
I think the most difficult part of a lot of the calls is detaching yourself from the calls. You get involved in, some calls that have a high level of emotion. You carry some of that with you, and that's hard to detach. That's where your services come in. That's where your peer support comes in, and you reach out to each other. Kind of work through that. That's been a challenge for most officers.
And for you, sir?
For me, he's bringing the patrol aspect of me in my new position is also be able to detach, but also how to manage and rally the troops to go out there and manage the day. some days are easier than others, and some days it just seems like it's always a bad day. And that's just nothing that the city is going through. It's just the where we're at as the department in regards to manpower. That makes it a little bit harder sometimes.
You know, when I look at the department from a chaplain's perspective, which is actually still an outsider for the most part, I see a lot of the pieces there, and I see people, but I also see something that is functioning and working. You know, you might have 15 calls on hold and not enough people to get to all of them immediately. But I don't think anyone's left without some coverage, okay? The officers do an amazing job, and most part, there's one guy I rode with, which I won't mention, but most part are within the speed limit,
Yes.
you know? And, you know, when I see the department, I really do see a functioning organism of living, breathing, real people with feelings, okay, who yet get out there and do the job day after day. And so, obviously, I appreciate you, or we would be sitting here. And I wish the general public could actually get to know some of the officers. I don't know how they'll do it. There's meet and greets occasionally.
Just most recently, last week, we had coffee with a cop. And so a couple officers met with community members at a coffee shop, and we just had coffee. So that's one way.
We have tip a cop also. That's where police officers would be a waiter. I think it's usually at Texas Roadhouse. You could come out and have a meal and have the officer serve you. We have like we already mentioned, the hockey game and the flag football game is a great way to come out. There's, get to know your officers there and get to talk to them. There's a lot that are in the stands that you could get to talk to and get to know them and, ask some questions.
Okay. By the way, on Friday mornings, I go to breakfast, and I go to my favorite restaurant for breakfast, which is the Pantry. And if I ever see an officer in there, I'll buy breakfast.
Okay.
I don't care if
How
it's
many
10 of them.
officers are on shift Friday morning?
Oh, we'll put that out.
But I do know we have another question, though.
Okay, can you please share some of your proudest moments?
Your proudest moments.
I think, without getting into a whole lot of details, I've done some investigations from the very beginning, which include interviews, which include collection of evidence, which include getting video footage, which include writing up search warrants, which include executing the search warrants. And some of those cases are high-level felony cases, and you put a lot of work, you put a lot of time into it. You go home and you're tired and you're exhausted from the day, and you see a good outcome on, you see all your efforts get paid off at the end. It's very rewarding. And even on some smaller, I don't want to say smaller calls, but some calls that are not even really very much, where no crime's actually been committed. You just go. I've been to one this last summer. It was a gentleman. He was older. He was very depressed. He was having some rough times, and we just spent a good hour with him. We shared some snacks with him. We talked with him for a good hour, and just made his whole day, that much better. He was happy. He was hugging us. We just made his whole day that much better. And just to see that we actually made a positive impact on his life was very rewarding.
There's one thing I noted, wasn't surprised at first, but how many family generations or generations of a family are officers? I know a couple, not by name I'm going to mention, but like there's a father and a daughter, and I think they're a father and a son.
We have a father and a son currently working. We have an individual whose father has been retired, and he joined the police department. We have, what else do we have right now?
But the reason it's important to me is because not only was he a successful officer, who is also a successful father. And then, of course, we have some ladies. Okay, there's a couple of them that scare me. You should be scared. Anyway.
My dad just recently retired from Department of Corrections.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with City Police now. My brother works for County Sheriff. And my 15-year-old son, he said he's going to be police. So that's his goal. So he has a couple more years, and that's what he's going to do.
So, questions, gentlemen?
Where would someone go if they don't know the rules of the city, the law of the land?
So if you go into the city website, we actually have the municipal code there where they could actually have access to the civil criminal code that we have, but also other codes in regards such as code enforcement for our yards, stuff like that, in situations where not police officers get involved, but individuals that go enforce those other situations. And I wish I could tell you the website off the top of my head, but putting me on the spot and it's just like, I just
No worries,
forget,
no
I just
worries.
forgot. But that's another place, and then there's other various websites where you can actually look up the criminal code on what we have to do to match up with the elements of the crime. And of course, there's several resources in regards to what goes into a criminal investigation.
Does Pueblo have a meter maid?
We do not.
do? We don't.
We don't.
But we have some motorcycle officers.
I think we don't have that program anymore.
You got rid of the Harley?
Oh, the motorcycle officers. Yes, we
Yes.
do have officers in motorcycles, yes. Those are traffic officers. They actually come out during the summertime.
You'll see them at the parades.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. So there must be other services that you provide. Who does the funeral stuff?
That's the honor guard. And we're
That is the honor
Corporal
guard, yes. We have done several funerals. A lot of them are for retired police officers, and any, current law enforcement, we will do their funerals also.
Now, I noticed that you're wearing the cover on your badge. That was for the officer in Colorado Springs,
Yes.
who at one time was a resident here in Pueblo.
From what I understand, yeah.
And so your brotherhood extends far beyond just the local police department.
yes, it does, sir.
Do you guys do honor guard services for more than just Pueblo?
We do. It depends on the family, what the family would like. Now, if it's in a death that occurred on duty, you generally will get honor guard from across the state to work together on that, if that's what the family wants. Sometimes family wants it to be very small and just for them, and we have to respect that. But generally, anytime an officer dies in the line of duty, anywhere in the state, we'll all shroud our badges for them.
Now, you guys don't handle those crazy solicitors that I'm from the Social Security Department, we're going to take your money. You don't handle those, do you?
No, we don't, sir.
Okay. Who would a person call?
Well, they could give us a call and we could try to figure something out and give them the right resources to that particular problem. It's an array of problems that we have in individuals like that, but it's unique to it.
So what type of scam should people of Pueblo, if any, should be aware of?
Yeah, if they start asking you for your name, date of birth, social security number, and it goes to any type of those resources that they're asking of you, then you probably shouldn't be answering those questions. I'm pretty sure your business knows your information if it's necessary, and if they're asking for it, it's for their to use your name, your good name as for their benefit.
No, that sounded like it came from a training slide. How often do you guys conduct training?
Well, it all depends. We do quarterly training. Most recently, right now, we just signed up for training. We're going to do driver's training, and what else do we have scheduled this quarter?
We had driver's training, we had ABLE training,
And
We-
taser.
and taser training,
taser training.
yes.
And these are for existing officers.
This is for existing officers.
Is it required to get tasered?
So taser training, when you get tased when you first start in the department, and then after that, we just have a proficiency, make sure that we're shooting straight.
Gotcha.
Now, you have a new academy starting on Monday,
Yes.
okay? And this is class 70,
Yes, sir.
okay? And as a chaplain, I get to play some. And I know Casey and Nancy and others in the chaplain's corps are oftentimes out there. We pretend to be the bad guys. We get roughed up a little bit, you know, and we get to be mouthy. By the way, as an officer, how do you handle mouthy people?
You know, I think that comes with some experience. It's like we said earlier, you got to understand you're dealing with the community at their worst days. They're having a very bad day. They're very upset. You're dealing with emotion. A lot of time, that emotion that they have has been built up for a very long time. Just got to understand it's not personal, and that emotional maturity comes just with some experience.
Do you find that with just a little bit of politeness or kindness, you can de-escalate it?
It is very effective. In a lot of situations, it is very effective. If, you know, somebody's extremely upset or emotional and you just talk to them in a calmer voice, you'll notice that kind of de-escalates them some and gets them closer to a point where you could have a rational conversation with them.
And I think that's some of the things that people have a tendency to believe, that we are responsible for a person's de-escalation. We're responsible for providing a space where they could de-escalate their emotions. If I could say, you're calm now, and you would actually calm down, I mean, that would be a great tool. I have a superpower that no one else has, you know, but we just have to provide that environment where the person could gather their thoughts and we could have a conversation that goes back and forth to where the individual could come to a rational state.
You guys have to bring the calm to the situation.
Yes.
So if, my understanding is that anyone who's going through the academy must be tased and also pepper sprayed.
Yes.
What would you prefer not to go through? Which one is worse?
I would rather get tased than sprayed. Pepper sprayed.
And I'm the opposite. I'd rather get pepper sprayed. I don't like the taser. I like-
Tasing lasts for 5 seconds. The pepper spray lasts for hours.
It depends on how many showers.
Yes, more than the shower.
Yes.
All right. Now, as a chaplain, I've had a few ride-alongs, and Casey had a ride-along, and his first ride-along was rather amazing, especially being a religious person.
New Year's Eve, riding along, second call. I sit in the car, the officers do their job, and then the officer waves me out. I'm like, oh, cool, I get to go. The guy wanted to confess his sins, repent before God, and get his life right before New Year's Eve. I was like, all right. So I just sat there with him, and he talked, and I listened and conversed back and forth, and we prayed, and that was the end.
That
He
was
got to go
awesome.
home.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
that is a great story. Sometimes that's what we need.
As chaplains, we all have our particular bent, okay? But as chaplains, we're chaplains, not pastors, preachers, okay? And so we're there as chaplains to serve the officers first. You are our mission, okay? And so I can do Baptist, I can do Presbyterian, and I'm also being told to watch the time. She doesn't want me to keep talking forever. But the thing is, your chaplains are there, and you probably don't know this, of course, okay, for the officers, and not for proselyting, not for hustling, you know. Now, I'll hustle on your behalf, but I won't hustle you. How's that?
That was
And
good.
don't forget, a little help. Grease makes the wheel go round.
So, I mean, let me just add this one little tidbit. If you can see, we've talked about an array of problems, an array of resources that we have, all walks of life coming together to live together, and as law enforcement are just there to stand in between what's good and what's bad. At times it's difficult, and at times it's easy. But we're that line, that's the thin blue line that we do. But it's great to have all the communities all community members from all walks of life to come together because we need each other to move forward. This is a long game. It's not a short game.
Right, and you said that you guys stand between the good and the evil, right? And I kind of see that as in we're kind of similar. You guys handle the physical world, and rabbis and I and all the other believers, we stand just like on the same line, except in the spiritual world. So I see similarities.
Now, there's a really great book, if you want to know what these guys go through, called Walking the Blue Line. And all this is just the stories of officers and a particular encounter. And it's really a great book. And it's a little scary if you're thinking about marrying a police officer. You might want to change your mind because you guys really are that which stands between the light and the dark.
No.
You're the keepers of sanity and keepers of the community.
You talk about what you asked the question, what was our proudest moment? If you think about the situations where even we get awards for, it's someone's bad day. It's someone's horrible, horrible day. And we got an award for a situation like that. I mean, it's for our work, but someone had experienced something bad. So when you asked the question, it was difficult for me to answer because it's what that is. It's hard, but yes, that's what we're there for.
And you know, you might get an award for it, for what you did, but you were there, and what you did was award worthy. And if you couldn't do it, you got resources, you got the chaplains, you got the CIT people, you got tools to make someone's bad day a little better.
Yes.
You know, my hope for our program tonight was to show the human side of the department. And yet, don't go speeding through town. Okay. And keep your nose clean and all that. Right? But the police department is a family, and they're our family, and they are our guardians, and we should show them respect. I heard someone say the other day, no one likes the police until you need one. And there's some truth to that. Okay? But you are there. Even if they don't like you, you're there.
That's right.
Okay?
And you guys are still humans. But thank you guys for your service.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay?
I would like to say as well, again, I know I speak on behalf of everyone here, that it was a great honor to have you here and to be able to share with us. And I know that not just people here, but those who are listening in online, we're very blessed, and we're grateful that you were able to share with us a little bit about yourself and about what you do and how important you are to the community around us.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
So, as we get ready to wrap up our program, I'm not sure what next week's topic is.
We haven't talked about it.
I haven't talked about it. And you're going off back east for a couple of weeks?
Correct.
So it'll be Rabbi Rittenhouse and myself. Okay? And of course, we talk about the most pertinent things in the universe, because that's what we do.
Life.
Okay. But this is a religious institution, so we're going to close in prayer, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we won't mention you by name, but maybe in generality. You know, every now you get a chance to say something, a roll call. You know, you take care of business, I'll talk to my boss.
Yes, sir.
Okay? You want to talk to the boss, or shall I?
No, you're the center of attention right now. You do it.
Okay?
Chaplain, Rabbi.
Master Universe, please bless our officers, the men and the women who stand there. They are the blue line. They are your servants. Lord God, protect them, keep them safe, watch over them, continue to add to the resources, and grant them peace at home and strength. May their marriages be solid and their children be blessed. And above everything else, Lord, keep us all out of trouble. Amen.
Amen.